Welcome back to Mispelled Memoirs. Today we are on episode 5. We're talking about milestones and canon events today.
Very fun. Okay, so I think just for the purpose of this topic, I was kind of going into just like a background of a few of like what we created so far, and I think I just love the name like Mispelled. I know you came up with it, and it was amazing. So we can talk a little bit about like what Mispelled means to us, and I think that kind of goes into just like embracing change. That's what I've noticed. Like a lot of themes that will come around, and then just like maybe taking a step back into what we've posted and how that kind of relates to our theme.
Yes, absolutely. And today we're outside, so if you hear any birds or airplanes, don't mind those. But yeah, for us, Mispelled Memoirs is like everything we love about change and transition and
Not being perfect.
not being perfect.
Yeah.
I was gonna say exactly what I was gonna say, imperfection.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of embracing that imperfection because that's what makes life beautiful.
Yes.
So, what are some of your canon events then in your life that have changed your life, or even like butterfly effect events?
I think it was more so. Well, we talked about like misspelled manifestations. That was the title of our first episode. And I think I was thinking more to that and how so some things in my life at this point might seem like unlucky. And then, I don't know, I kind of just related the whole thing about misspelled being back to me. Like, misspelled being a thing of imperfection. And sometimes in certain people, or in memoir specifically, like our name, that can cause people to just like, I don't know, not necessarily like disassociate, but like dismiss in some ways. Yeah. What about you for like misspelled? I know for like, kind of going back to the beginning question, like what misspelled means to you.
Yeah. Well, I think for me it's really about like embracing that imperfection because I mean like I've talked about before, like I grew up in ballet.
Yeah.
Environment was like super strict, and in ballet there is no room for anything different from the standard. From the way you tie your shoe to the way you do your hair, everything is, there's one way to do everything. So yeah, it's about embracing change and embracing that life is messy and imperfect.
Yeah.
And sharing the stories also of others who are doing amazing things and creating radical change like in their lives, while being imperfect, because that's actually what everyone is doing.
Yeah, if you hear successful stories about like people in their past, they like, it's hard to just think of them as like, in the moment when you're not your most successful, it feels, I don't know, you don't feel the most successful, but like
you feel
all
like
these,
a failure almost. You feel like, what am I doing with my life?
I know, we talked about like the Albert Einstein taking what 100,000 million failures to get to the yeah.
It didn't like Thomas Edison too, the guy who invented the light bulb. He had like 1,000 trials, and then finally he got it right. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, but then he changed the course of history, you know? And same thing, like, so many authors have gotten like hundreds of rejections, but then all it takes is one, and finally they became super successful.
Yeah. So everything kind of, this is kind of like a reflection, and I was thinking like, I brought this up last week while we were talking, but if we want to take a trip down memory lane of like what we've talked about, we kind of talked about rejection therapy, and then also just maybe just reset because spring break just happened. But first with rejection therapy, we were both talking about how we both kind of experienced rejection therapy.
Yup.
Candidly. So like, it's great that we gave that advice, but then just taking time for both of us to reflect on ourselves. We're like, damn, that hurts.
Yeah. The thing about rejection therapy is it's hard. It's actually really
it's so hard. It is easy giving the advice because I was over it.
It's easy to say, oh, just do rejection therapy, but it's really hard to actually do it.
Yeah, because April's the season of rejection.
Yep. My application, I'm transferring this semester, so my applications come out.
Oh my god.
Starting next week, so this is a season of rejection and you know what, that's okay. That's why we have Mispelled Memoirs.
To tell these stories.
To tell you stories and to emphasize how rejection is not only okay, but it's key to success.
And key to your story, key to your
key
memoir.
To your story,
key to your memoir. So
absolutely.
I know our first one. I think of like our first episode. It said misspelled manifestations, rejection therapy, pessimism, and expectations. We kind of talked about how expect disappointment and you won't be disappointed, the Zendaya and Spider-Man quote. And then when I was doing that, I was going through rejection therapy, and I realized I did that and I was less disappointed. So in a way it does work, but it is kind of pessimistic.
Yeah. I feel like in my life, like the times where I've like expected disappointment have been like because I was afraid of feeling disappointed, or like I was afraid, because that's a hard feeling to feel, and I was like, I had a lot of fear around feeling disappointing because it was painful and I didn't want to feel that emotion. But then like when I go into things, like not expecting like rejection, not expecting acceptance, just like kind of like pushing the door and seeing like if it will open, you know, kind of approaching it that way, then I feel like that's, I don't know, much healthier way. And then even if I get disappointed, like it's okay. I just have to like learn to let it go.
That's a better way to reword the mindset, because I think for like Symposium I was like, oh, it was a shot in the dark. Or when I applied for Boston, it was a shot in the dark, but I think I was more optimistic about the other one. But Symposium, I was just like getting the professor's feedback and all that, and now I get a chance to like hopefully go in person and see all the presentations. Like, I think I was expected to being rejected, but that also gave me time to reframe my mindset and just be like, oh, this is more of like a learning thing.
Exactly, it's a learning thing. And what you were saying about reframing your mindset, like that's key. That's why like rejection therapy is key, because it's all about shaping your mindset.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
The other quotes about like hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? All these things are somewhat pessimistic, but I think they're kind of true, because I mean, Taylor Swift said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yep.
And then obviously we're developing traits of like trying to be a planner. Like I'm trying to be more of a planning person, but then you also say like, you hear the quotes about if you try to plan your life, like life laughs at you. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard that one. It's so true.
I mean, there's so many different sayings. Like we said, expect disappointment, you won't be disappointed. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, well, what's been like one time when you like really planned your life and then it just like fell apart? And I'll share mine. I have some too.
I don't know. I think like mine personally might be like silly cases when I got my hopes really high for like, you know, when the activity gets out of the group chat type of thing. Yeah. It was that. So like I had high hopes for some things. I think I was visiting someone and like, oh, we're gonna do this, and it didn't work out. And then people are like, lower your expectations. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I feel that. For me, I think one of my experience, I was like, well, I mean, I was working in Europe as a ballet dancer, and I thought I would be there forever. I never thought I would come back home, or I never thought I would go back to school.
Oh.
Even, and then things just kind of fell apart in the ballet world for me, and it's complex. Not that they fell apart in the world for me, but I realized kind of all at once that I didn't want to dance anymore. It's something I dedicated my life to. But that redirection has also been amazing, and being able to go to a community college in America has like really, really been profoundly inspiring in my life. And I'm not trying to talk here like some like like enlightened, or like using words like profound, or I don't know, but I think it gave me a new perspective and also helped me realize that life just laughs when you make plans.
Yeah, life laughs in your face when you make plans. It's a saying. And then if we want to keep moving forward, like just realizing that growth, and I think moving on to our next episode where we titled it Diaries and Destiny's Dunes, Bucket Lists, Memoirs, and Soul Searching. This was our episode about journaling, just like even writing down. I think it's been a month since I started journaling, and I've realized like you can definitely see the growth within yourself. Right now it's been more of like a rant. A rant in my journal, but I realized like more of the people, like even at like podcasts, like audiobooks, whenever you listen, it's just like a moment to reflect and just see the growth if you go back and read your old journals.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is your journaling going? Like, did you ever end up making like 2 separate journals, or is it just one
Just
journal?
one, because it's really important for me to like validate having human emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was great advice.
Okay.
But like, and even like our thumbnail was really cool because it was about journaling, right? And I put Dune because I think Dune is just like, it's great for soul searching. Hopefully people clicked on it and can relate to our video about like just like journaling. But we talked about like their memoir of fear, the fear monologue.
Yeah,
his
like
mom
fear
had.
monologue. I listened to that episode again. I realized I said like Jenny Besserit, which is like it's Benny Gesserit, I think, which was like so embarrassing. Oh my god, I'm like, wow, people really are gonna think I'm not a Dune fan. I am, I swear.
But it's fairly new. I mean, when we recorded that, I think I watched Dune like 2 days before.
But I mean, there's like a book series. I've like read the books.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second one yet. Have you?
Yeah, I have. It's
okay.
so
It's really good. Okay.
It's really good.
But yeah, anything more about journaling? I think we talked a little bit. Rejection, reflection, empowering you to take control of your narrative, and reshape your own misspelled memoirs.
Yes.
It's kind of the reshaping your mindset.
Yeah, I've stayed journaling since we had that episode. Like, I try to do like 3 pages in the morning. I think it really helps me process.
Yeah, and then we have our friendships one coming out tomorrow. I don't know if there's much about sports or ballet we can add on to it, but it was a lot about like self-confidence, advocating for yourself, creativity, definitely, just like forming your own passion.
Forming your own passion, and like the differences between ballet and basketball.
Yeah, when I wrote
and similarities.
When I wrote the thing, I realized like it's kind of, when you take it in a physical aspect about like sports, you know how like football players do ballet. I think that's what people might think when they click on the video, but more about confidence and the similarities and differences within each sport, but more like behind the scenes, internal reflections. Yeah, I think on the scenes they're very different, but I mean we connected a lot. Ballet and basketball, just background in sports. Mostly it's called like, I put it as sidekicks and misspelled main characters.
Ooh,
so
I
friendships
love it.
and group hopping. I want to, I don't know, I want to explain the group hopping because I think that we kind of talked about it, where sometimes it might be like instances of like dropping your friends, but I want to take it in the way of recommending group hopping if you feel like you're not necessarily like stuck to a friend, but sometimes going from middle school to high school, you find yourself very stuck to specific friends or friend groups, like not being afraid to reach outside your friend groups. Like one day if you meet someone interesting, you're just like, spend some extra time with them. And that's not necessarily ditching your friends in a way.
So maybe not like group hopping, but more so with the focus on like group expansion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inviting new people to your circle.
People, not being like limited by, you know, the confines of high school groups.
And then we also gave like, we talked about a really great subject, which was like cringing yourself out of the clubs. We thought people in clubs had no social life, and then we ended up joining the clubs.
And being super active. Cringe is what's the word, like cringe is only in your mind.
You have to say like embarrassment is not real, like only you can really force yourself to feel embarrassment, because it's really other people are just judging you, but it's how you react.
Exactly, it's how you react. Also, I'm like, are other people even judging me, or am I just projecting and creating a mean version of themselves in my head to judge myself? Like, something to think about.
And I think for the thumbnail, like I put Cruella de Vil and Loki. We kind of talked about Loki and his thing about like glorious purpose. You can kind of see it. It's like a broken. There's Batman on there, right? It doesn't have to do too much with what we were talking about specifically, like relating to them. But I wrote a reflection about Cruella de Vil, and about her being an anti-hero. Because it's kind of like the misspelled main character. I love like the anti-hero stories.
Yeah, anti-hero.
Or specifically like the Marvel universe, where you have villains like Thanos, and if I watch like the director's behind the scenes cut, they're like, the point of making Thanos, like why he affected it so greatly, was because he was a morally gray character. So it's like there's some humaneness to it.
Like almost like the anti-heroes are more complex.
Yes.
Because they like reflect us more.
Yeah, but
So
it's
we're also
also
gray.
like not everything is black and white, good and bad,
Yeah, absolutely.
good and evil, right? Some of them, like if you've watched Thor, the Love and Thunder, it's a terrible movie, but the Gore Christian Bale, the villain he plays, like his story at the end, I don't know, it's like a transformation where like he's doing everything in purpose for his daughter, but it's kind of evil what he's doing to other people. So I like the
Interesting,
Marvel and anti-hero story. Kind of, I don't know, relate to us normal humans.
Yeah.
Misspelled main characters.
Almost like they're their own. Yeah, they're misspelled main characters. Yes.
So like maybe us, we're misspelled. I said guest characters, like sidekicks, because we talked about last how I felt like a sidekick or like a guest appearance. You can think of in like TV shows, but I mean, you're your own main character.
You are. You are. You have to shape your life as though you are.
Yeah, and then the whole aspect of like misspelled being, I don't know, in manifestation. I was thinking like a genie, like be careful what you wish for sometimes, or misspelled meaning like you can look at it two ways. Yeah, and then some people might see between the lines, other people might see the surface level, superficial.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we can, I mean, that's more of our recap, and then that kind of goes into, we can talk about our statement.
Ooh, like our main message. Yes.
More about, very story building.
Yeah, so really we want this podcast to be like a place for deep conversations, but like still lightheartedness, because we need a mix of both, you know? And really just kind of our journeys ourselves as we like discover ourselves and learn how to love ourselves better and connect with others better. And yeah, like share this podcast and see.
Yeah. I mean, it's
where it
our own
goes.
journal.
Exactly, it's our own journal.
Journal and personal journey. I mean, we're documenting our own journey, our own thoughts.
Exactly. And how we can use like the beautiful gifts that we have through like music or art or school, to create, you know, our own mindset, shape our own mindset, shape our own life, and encourage all of our audience to make the best of every day for their own growth and improvement.
Yeah, I think the whole aspect of just misspelled and memoirs, I think it's such a nice play on the head, but
absolutely.
misspelled mostly just like looking beyond surface level.
Looking beyond surface level. In people and in life.
And creating your own memoirs. I think next week what we'll talk about, I talked about just like creating change in eras, kind of going more into this Marvel thing about like canon events. We had our spring break, so thinking of it as like a reset button. And then also just, I don't know, I kind of like to think of like, you know, the whole thing about like reset and all that. In Marvel specifically, there's like canon events. If you watch the new Spider-Man, I think canon events kind of relate to more negative things. And then milestones like not necessarily like spring break, but just like a time in your life when you think it's like the end of an era, bringing it back to Taylor Swift eras.
An end of an era, start of change.
I know. Yeah, like you're trying to promote that change, and sometimes if you feel like, I don't know, go more into this next episode, but like during dull parts of your life, you want to promote change when things seem negative or slow. You want to, when things seem negative, like a lot of bad things are happening to you, and you might have think of it as like a canon event and you wish you had a reset button, versus when things are slow and they're negative, you know the saying, like, do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, this whole storytelling and memoir. So,
yeah,
we'll go into that next week, but
we will.
Love the recap of all our past episodes and future ones to come. A lot of exciting ones.
So stay tuned for those exciting episodes.
Yeah. The June one, Junes and Diaries, if you were a diary girl, or if you're journaling, or if you're just a Dune fan. I guess we're going a lot into the MCU. I think one time I was going to title it like the Mispelled Universe. What is it? MCU Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mispelled Cinematic Universe. Could be Memoirical Universe, something like that. And then sports, if you can relate.
Yes, check out our ballet and basketball podcast.
And friendships one that come out tomorrow.
So by the time you're listening to this, it will for sure be out. And yeah, follow us on Instagram at Mispelled Memoirs, on YouTube, on Spotify, and on TikTok.
Yay, peace out.
Bye.